Kumusta tayo, mga kaibigan, kapatid, kababayan na dito sa Malaysia, mga Filipino communities sa Malaysia, sa Kuala Lumpur, and of course, dyan po sa Sabah, no? Sabah, especially ang mga Filipinos dyan sa Kota Kinabalu. Ito po si Nico Fabian once again nandito sa programa natin, Nick Talk, The Real Talk with Nico, and inviting lahat sa inyo po dito sa programa. Same greetings and invitation na goes to all the overseas Filipino workers who maskin paano ang buhay po nandyan sa ibang nasyon, working and trying their level best to give a better future sa mga loved ones which they left behind temporarily in the Philippines. And of course, ang mga kaibigan natin, kababayan natin at saka kapatid natin dyan po mismo sa Pilipinas, be it in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Welcome na welcome kayo po dito sa programa Nick Talk, The Real Talk with Nico. In Malay, we used to say it, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Ganito po. Salamat pagi, salamat patang, and salamat malam apa macam. How are you? Hope everything is running smoothly, especially on a Sunday. Yeah? Sunday ngayon po, January 11. And tomorrow is Monday, January 12 na po. January 12 na. But anyway, okay, today, ang topic natin po, I will focus more on ang very, very hot issue po and nagiging viral ito left and right ito po since last week. No? Ang 2026 national budget natin ng Pilipinas po, which amounting to something like 6.793 trillion pesos ang national budget. May mga tao, some people are saying, no, or disagree when they describe a national budget described by both the House of Representatives and the Senate, Philippine Senate po. They describe it as people-centered budget, no? People-centered budget. But on the other side, on the contrary, some people say it is not people-centered budget, but instead, still a corrupt budget po. Why corrupt? Because ito mga, those who criticize the budget po, they still insist na mayroon pa rin na pork barrel po, or itong questionable items. Marami pa mga questionable items dyan po sa 2026 budget, and there is not much difference between the, sabihin natin, 2025 budget and 2026 budget po. Ibig sabihin, mayroon pa rin yan po mga insertions, amendments, so forth and so forth, that leads to so-called kickbacks po sa mga those who endorse, no, itong mga proyekto po. So, malaking issue ito. And of course, the Filipinos, kagaya sa amin dito sa Malaysia, dito po sa Kota Kinabalu, dyan po sa Kota Kinabalu, because I'm now in Kuala Lumpur, and I think towards on the third week pa ako po, I'm going back to Kota Kinabalu. So, people are saying na nakakalungkot dahil marami pang mga questionable items dyan po sa 2026 national budget po, which was signed, no? Nag-sign na po as the national budget for 2026 si Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. po last Monday, January 5. So, today, I'm going to touch on this thing. I'm going to touch on this thing po, and I'm going to share with you some video clips, interview of one of the respectable personalities dyan po sa Pilipinas. She is a political analyst, a former congresswoman, and a media personality po, no? And of course, she's also involved in this political surveys po. So, I will be sharing with you some clips. That's why I would like to invite all of you who is watching itong program ngayon na stay with me until the end of this program, because there's a lot of things that itong interview. SMNI interviewed with itong personality po, respectable personality dyan po sa Pilipinas. You will learn a lot of things po. And whether you will agree or disagree, kayo nang pong bahala. Agree and disagree, it all depends on what side are you in. Ha? Kung doon ka sa kabila, sa Marcos administration, so definitely I'm sure that you will disagree with the observations and statements made by this guest po, no, ng SMNI. But those who are against the administration, I think you will support ang statement ng guest ng SMNI. But personally, ako po, no? Although malayo ako sa Philippines, but I always, daily po, religiously, I monitor ang situation dyan po sa Pilipinas, especially itong mga hot issues sa Pilipinas, especially issues that involve ang buhay ng mga Filipinos, ang buhay ng mga overseas Filipino workers po, kagaya namin dito po sa Malaysia. So, for me, I agree. Most of the statement or observation of this TV guest po, no? When she mentioned or she revealed, no, during the interview, I agree most of it po. So, hintayin natin po, no? In just a few moments from now po, I'm going to share with you ang mga video clips. And I will name to you po kung sino itong tao. But before going to that issue, let me again inform our general public, especially ang mga devotees ng Black Nazarene, where we celebrated the feast of Black Nazarene January 9. And of course, I reported dito po sa programa natin, may translasyon, may procession po. The procession from Quirino Grandstand, no, dyan sa Manila, to back home to Quiapo Church po, it took more than slightly over 30 hours po, no? And it is being carried out every year po. This is a yearly event, religious event. And for your information, no, not surprisingly, the crowd during the procession po, no, during the procession this year po, hit something like 9-point-something million people. Grabe, no po? Last year, they recorded something like 8.1 million people. And this year, tumaas po. Tumaas ang number of devotees who participated in the feast of Jesus of Nazareth. The Black Nazareno po. Medyo ano tayo, sandali. So, yun po, that is the thing that I'm going to, that I want to pass the information po. Mayroon, according to the reports, mayroon dalawang namatay po. One of the fatality during the religious event was a photojournalist, And more than 800 or 900 na yata yun po, no? Reported, given medical assistance po by the medics natin during the procession po. Mahaba talaga yun po, no? It took 30 hours, more than 30 hours po for the statue of Black Nazarene to return back to Quiapo Church, no? This is how this is how big ang mga devotees dyan po sa Pilipinas kay Jesus of or the Black Nazarene po. Ako, I for one po, I will tell you the truth. I am one who took the Black Nazarene po as my patron, no? My devotion ako sa kanya po. No? And as what I said, I promise every time I go to Manila, I make sure that I go and visit si Black Nazareno dyan po sa Quiapo Church, and at the same time, I go and visit po si Virgin Mary, Mama Mary po, dyan sa Bulacan Church po. Baclaran Church. Baclaran Church pala yan. So, never miss ko yun po. And so far, January 1st hanggang ngayon, wala pa tayong, I didn't have the chance to go to Manila, but I'm hoping anytime soon po. It might not be January, maybe it will be February or even March, no? I will be able to visit si Black Nazarene. And one of my wishes or a promise to Black Nazarene, this time around 2026 po, when I go to Manila and visit si Black Nazarene po, I will bring my wife, no? Ang better half ko po, no? And sana lang po I will be able to convince her to also take devotion kay Black Nazarene, no? Black Nazarene. Kung may swerte pa tayo po, siguro, no? With the help of, with the intervention of our Creator, or even si Black Nazarene, baka I can also bring ang, sabihin natin, anak ko po, no? Kung hindi lahat sila, maybe I can bring one or two, no? And yes, yon, that is the thing that I want to pass sa inyo po. So let's continue to, kung may devotion man tayo kay Black Nazarene, let us continue po, no? Because I strongly believe that based on my own experience po, whenever I ask something from Black Nazarene po, he never abandoned me. Sometimes it will take time for him to answer my prayers, and sometimes it was instant, immediately, no? And I'm very glad and very grateful that may devotion ako po kay Jesus of Nazareno, Black Nazarene po. Alright, umpisa na tayo. Sa main topic tayo, but before going further, I would like shoutout muna tayo kay Rose Doha, no? Rose Doha, Alan Belinario, and Marco Fabian, who's also watching itong programa natin, Nick Talk, The Real Talk with Nico on a Sunday morning. Sunday morning po. And lahat kayo po is watching. I cannot read all the names po, no? So, but anyway, again, I would like to say, welcome na welcome kayo po. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. God bless us all po, no? And I hope that we are starting a brand new year po. And I hope that this week, and I hope that this week will be prosperous and problem-free week para sa atin lahat, no? Kung nasan man kayo, be it dito sa Malaysia, be it dyan po sa ibang nasyon, or even dyan mismo po sa bayan natin, which we call the Philippines. Alright. So, the video clip that I'm going to share with you now is the interview between, or carried out by SMNI, professionals po, mga TV host natin po sa SMNI, and they interviewed, no? No less than, they interviewed kay Professor Malu Tequia. Professor Malu Tequia is a political analyst, well-respected media personality, and a former congresswoman po, no? A former congresswoman, and all his mga observation na po, no? May puntos talaga po. Hindi siya bias, but she's just giving a balanced observation po. Balanced observation. So, the first video clip that I'm going to share with you po is, since we are talking about the budget, no? Itong budget po. Ang budget natin is 6.973 trillion, and tatlo yan po ang top on the list, ang education, ang DepEd, and then mayroon tayo ang health department and ang Department of Agriculture. Yon ang tatlo po na they have bigger allocation, no? Appropriations po for the year 2026. But unfortunately po, may mga questionable items when it comes to, sabihin natin, sa budget para sa education or sa Department of Education. Mayroon din mga questionable items dyan po sa health, no? Especially itong PhilHealth na ito. And of course, ang agriculture and transportation din po and other issues. So, let's watch and listen. Let's watch and listen to Professor Malu Tequia. Shoutout muna tayo kay Judabeho Piego. No? Shoutout tayo sa kanya po. No? Hope you're doing fine. Okay na okay kayo. And sana lang po, no? You're enjoying ang Sunday natin. Ang Sunday, which is a family day po. So, okay, nandito na. Umpisa na tayo. Umpisa na tayo po ang video clip that I want to share with you po. Ang unang-una po, video clip is about ang budget sa DepEd. Budget sa DepEd. Hold on, budget sa DepEd. Hold on. Sandali. Okay. Budget sa DepEd. And nandito po. Let's watch and listen to this.
Yun yung mga concern. Makikita mo dun sa picture ng budget, 1.7 trillion ang DepEd at ang pagkasabi nga nila, the biggest budget for education in the history of the Philippines. Totoo naman yun. Pero pag binusisi mo yung budget ng DepEd, makikita mo dyan yung school building projects na dating DPWH ng 2025, only 22 school buildings were built. So pag binigyan ka ng 1.7 trillion, at sabihin na natin 30% of that is school building, ang ating gap ang ating shortage is 170,000 school buildings. Kahit ka magtayo ng 10 school buildings a month, ang total nun 120. Meron pang balanse. Pero kaya bang magpatayo ng 120 school buildings a month ng DepEd? Na ang kanilang record noong 2025 ay 22 buildings lamang para sa buong taon. So that is problematic. Yung claim nila na second highest budget ang health.
Alright, when we talk about the school buildings po, mga classroom, this has been a problem for how many donkey years already po. And 2022, when BBM or President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. Became the president po, 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025 po, no? Despite all his promises na they're going to build new school buildings or classroom para sa mga estudyante po, it did not materialize. Again, I would say, all empty promises. And now, mayroon naman tayong budget under the 2026 budget wherein such a big amount and they again promise, no? Ilan yon? 120 school buildings, classrooms po that they are going to construct within 1 year. Kaya ba yun po? If you go back to the record of last year, 2025, the Marcos administration only managed to build 22 lang po. Only managed to build 22 school buildings or classroom, additional classroom po. And now they are talking big again. Kaya ba? Do you think they are capable of building 120 building a year? I doubt po. I doubt if they can do that. If they can do that. Kung they can do that, then well and good. Because it will benefit ang mga estudyante. The students will benefit it. And then once you have the classrooms, then you have to increase the number of qualified teachers. There is no point to have a school, a classroom, and you don't have qualified teachers. You don't simply put in teachers there. if they are not qualified, then because of for the sake of having a teacher, because you have a classroom, then it will not serve the purpose po. It will defeat the purpose po. No? If you look at the education record natin sa Pilipinas po, no? I think mababa talaga ang quality of education in the Philippines compared, no, to our neighboring countries like Malaysia, no? In Malaysia, definitely po, nandito ako sa Malaysia, if you ask me to compare ang education quality between Philippines, although I'm a Filipino, between Philippines and Malaysia, then I'm sorry to say na the standard of Malaysian education is very high compared to the Philippines. I'm sorry to say this. No? I'm sorry to say this. I've been in Malaysia for more than half of my life. 30, 40, 4 decades na po. Nandito ako po. And I saw the quality of education po. And even as a media man, I covered a lot of educational events, school events dito po sa Malaysia, be it in Sabah, be it in Kuala Lumpur, or elsewhere po. No? And I look at this situation, nakakahiya po, nakakahiya if you compare ang education system natin sa Pilipinas po. I hope they will change. So anyway, that's it. No? Sabi ni Professor Malu Tequia, no? She doubt whether the government can build or ang target nila po, even 120 classroom or buildings po during 2026. Based on the record, the Marcos administration, the latest one, 2025, they only managed to build 22 school buildings po. Na? It sounds funny, pero nakakaawa din ang Pilipinas. Pero I hope things will change. Things will change for the better. And they will use the budget for this education. Mga classroom po, they will use it properly instead of, I hope it will not go again to the pockets of this crook and corrupt government officials, lawmakers natin po, be it the congressmen or senators, politicians po, and of course, contractors. Okay, the next video clip that I'm going to share with you po is on the second highest allocation for 2026, and that is the health department po. The health department, you listen carefully po. Now, may mga puntos talaga ito si Professor Malu Tequia. You listen carefully po. Nandito.
Claim nila na second highest budget ang health. Uulitin ko, ang ruling ng Supreme Court, ibalik. Hindi pondohan. So yung ibalik, dapat noong 2025, tiningnan nila yung mga savings, no? O kaya yung mga binabalik ng mga district engineers na pondo, ay dapat yun ang ginamit nila para maibalik yung 60 billion na kinuha nila sa PhilHealth na na-declare unconstitutional. Anong ginawa nila? Inastos nila yung 60 billion, tapos nag-allocate na naman sila from another para ilagay sa PhilHealth at masabing, oy, ibinalik na namin. Paano ibinalik? Ang return, ang ibig sabihin niyan, from the same budget, which is 2025. Ibalik nyo. Ang ginawa nila, nag-allocate sila. So para tayong 2 beses na prinito sa sarili nating mantika. Yun yung sa konsepto ng DOH. Ngayon, yung...
Alright, narinig natin po, no? Ang observation, ang reaction ni Professor Malu Tequia. Correct din na po. I totally agree. Okay, the issue here is, remember, now we have a new budget, 2026 national budget. Okay, the issue here is that people are shouting. You know, last year, the government, Marcos administration, got the money from PhilHealth worth 60 million. 60 billion pesos po, no? And they use it for other purposes po, claiming that this 60 billion po just stagnant and that they're not using it po. So, it's better for the government to get first ang 60 billion po and use for other purposes. And siguro for flood control projects, which we learned already, we know that flood control projects did not materialize. Many are ghost projects. What is the meaning of ghost project? The meaning of ghost project is none. It was a ghost, but payment has been made to the contractors. Kickbacks given to these politicians. But the project itself po, none. No project. And then, of course, flood control projects, we're talking about substandard qualities. They build the project because they are corrupt. They want to corrupt money. They want to earn. So instead, the quality, they follow the quality of the materials so that the project will be of standard, high quality po. They did it substandard. Ibig sabihin, they cut the whatever they can cut and it is affecting the quality of the project. Why they have to cut po? Because they want money to be put in their pocket. So that is substandard po. And that money comes from the taxpayers. Kaya galit na galit po ang mga tao. So this 60 billion, the government got it from PhilHealth. The Supreme Court last year already declared that it was unconstitutional. It is wrong for the government, for the Department of Finance to get that money from the Health Department and use it for other purposes. So the Supreme Court decided that it is unconstitutional and the government should return back the money to the PhilHealth, to the Health Department. See? And there comes the Marcos administrator saying, yes, in fact, they were asked to return earlier before the decision of the Supreme Court. President Ferdinand Marcos, I don't know for what reason, he said, we are going to return the money. And it took how many months until the decision of the Supreme Court came out saying, ordering the government, the finance department to return it to the PhilHealth. But until now, nothing happened. So what they did for that 60 billion pesos, what they did is, for the government to return back the 60 billion pesos, they included a budget in the 2026 national budget po. So that budget in the 2026 budget now will pay or will give the 60 billion pesos po sa Health Department o sa PhilHealth. So in other words, what the Filipinos are saying, you stole money from us already, and then at the end of the day, it is us who will be paying the 60 billion pesos which are stolen from us. Ibig sabihin, 2 times po we have been cheated. When I say we, it is the taxpayers. Filipinos are paying taxes po. Where in fact, dapat po ang gobyerno should not get the money from the 2026 budget. Instead, whatever they have, for example, these flood control projects, there are people returning back cash to the government, no? They should use that money and pay to PhilHealth, not get the budget from the 2026 national budget, which is the money of the taxpayers. So doble, 2 times we have been cheated. See? First, they got our money, they use it for what purpose we don't know, and then, now, the Supreme Court ordered them to return the money, And how to return the money is they allocated a fund, an allocation in the national budget po to pay the debt or the 60 billion pesos to the PhilHealth, which happened 2025. And whose money is that? It is taxpayers' money. Taxpayers' money. So yun po, ganyan ang nangyari. Sa palagay ninyo, do you agree with this kind of, in other words po, we've been cheated, scammed, budol by the government. Let's wake up po, no? Tama na, when we talk about corruption in the Philippines po, I don't know what is happening in the Philippines. No? They cannot even, sabihin natin, file a case immediately to individuals po involved in the corruption. I'll give you a very good example. A very good example. I hate to compare. But we compare Malaysia, kasi nandito ako sa Malaysia po. We compare Malaysia and the Philippines. No? We also have some problems. Corruption cases in the Philippines po, in Malaysia, in Sabah po. But just recently po, I will not mention names anymore. Now, just recently, the authorities handling these corruption cases po, no, complaints in Malaysia po, they invited, is it a general? They invited a general po for just to investigate. On that very day, he came to the office of the office concerned investigating or looking after mga corruption cases. On that very day, without much hoo-ha, they detained immediately itong tao, and cases will be filed against this person po. Because there is a proof, may doubt na po na he is involved in this corruption activity. Ganun lang po. No? But sa Philippines, this will not happen. No? They will say, due process. We can see already investigation about the flood control projects. People, we already know that they are involved. But cases has yet to be filed against them in the court. Why? Because they have the money. These people, they stole billions and trillions of pesos from the Filipinos po, and when they are caught, no, they will hire highly paid lawyers po to defend them. And whose money is that po? It is the taxpayers' money. No? Ibig sabihin, tayo po, we are protecting them because they are using taxpayers' money, which is really wrong. Wake up, Filipinos. Wake up, Filipinos. Let's stop this nonsense po. We have been suffering po. I hope, and I am appealing to my fellow countrymen, both in the Philippines and also elsewhere, abroad, and also in Malaysia po. Let us open our eyes. Enough is enough. Sobra na, tama na, ikulong na ang mga magnanakaw. Put them in jail. No? That's it. But anyway, depende yan sa inyo. Okay? Wag tayo mang high blood dyan po sa issue po. No? Alright. The next video clip that I'm going to share with you po is about the agriculture. Agriculture is also one department wherein the 2026 budget allocated big amount po, no? For the 2026. Now, let's talk about the agriculture. And let's listen to the observation of Professor Malu Tikaya. Hold on po, ha? Alright, the 213. Where is the 213 po? Ano ito? Sandali, ha? Is it the 213 agriculture? Hold on. I'm checking ang ano natin. Sandali po. Sometimes if I think about itong problema natin sa Pilipinas po, mag-high blood tayo. But anyway, let's watch and listen to this observation of Professor Malu.
And then DSWD. So tinitingnan pa namin bakit lumaki ang agriculture in the light of all this bumababa ang inflation pero ang price ng produkto ay hindi naman bumababa. Doon nakakagulat, no? At yung isa ay DSWD, yun nga yung mga ayuda.
Opo, ma'am, binanggit na rin po minsan ni Super Ate, Senator Amy Marcos, na yung budget ngayon ay hindi na pork free. Pero, giniling. Ano ba giniling? Ipaboy pa rin yun, ma'am.
Oo, MJ.
Sa tingin po ninyo, ma'am, bakit niya po nasabi yun? Giniling. Pork giniling.
Giniling kasi pag kumakain tayo ng giniling, hindi natin, nalalasahan natin ang baboy, pero hindi natin nakikita. So ang giniling, parang ganun ang ginawa doon sa budget. Hindi mo nakikita, lumiliit yung mga dating ang lalaking lump sum, pero doon meron pa ring line item. So pagliit ng budget, hindi masyadong tinututukan ng mga budget watchdogs. Ang maliit naman yan, hindi na yan titingnan. So yun yung giniling, lumiit, so sasabihin, hindi, bumaba nga, hindi, nasiro nga. So ikaw, papalakpak ka dahil dun sa supposedly reform. Pero makikita nyo at i-present namin in a table form, saan yung inalis, saan linagay. So makikita mo na yung head ng presidente ay naiba dahil sa realignment na ginawa. At yung realignment na yun ay ginawa in reaction to the public, yung kagustuhan na makakita ng big fish, and in reaction also to the results of survey firms na nagpapakita na paliit ng paliit ang tiwala ng taong bayan sa leader.
Alright, yan po, no? Klarong-klaro. Klarong-klaro po. And this time around, let's go to the issue on transportation po. Mayroon siya mga statements. Reaction po, observation tungkol sa budget para sa transportation natin, LRT, ang train natin po, and so forth, so on. So, let's listen to Professor Tequia tungkol sa budget para sa transportation po natin dyan sa Philippines.
Transport. Related to transport, inalis nila yung parte ng gobyerno. Pag inalis mo yung parte ng gobyerno sa isang loan na binigay sa'yo ng bilateral or multilateral agencies, bumababa ang paggalang ng investor sa atin. Kasi yan ay loan agreement. At sa loan agreement, may side, ito ang itutulong ng Government of the Republic of the Philippines, at ito ang manggagaling para dun sa loan matuloy. Imagine mo yung binabayaran natin ang counterpart, biglang promeno simula ng 2023. So, ang daming parts ng conditions ng loan ang nagte-take effect, no? Katulad ng penalty, ng interest, di ba? So, that's a reflection of the mismanagement na sa kagustuhan maglipon ng pondo para sa politika, ang naaapektuhan ang bansa, ang taong bayan. Kaya yung foreign assisted projects is a reflection of ayoko niyan, gusto ko dito. Hindi pa pwede yun. Yan yung continuity from one administration to another. Because ang Pilipinas, kahit pa nung panahon ni Presidente Cory, honors obligations, honors the debt payments. So kung aalisin mo yung counterpart sa foreign assisted projects, para mo sinabi doon sa inutangan mo na pasensya malalaking kadambuhalang projects na mention mo, sino ang may impact doon? Hindi ba ang taong bayan? Pag yung subway, ang another part of the LRT, or certain bridges, those are all transportation projects. In fact, ang tawag nga dyan, flagship eh. Bakit yun ang unang kinakatay?
Alright, klarong-klaro ulit ang mga proyekto po, flagship projects po sa Pilipinas. When we talk about flagship projects, ibig sabihin na mga transportation natin yun po, no? So, at this, now we have a little bit idea or ideas tungkol ang ano nangyari sa national budget natin. Bakit some people, no? Or a lot of people are questioning itong 2026 budget. Okay, let's go to another issue raised kay Professor Malu Tequia po regarding sa politika, regarding ang nag-dive ang trust rating and performance rating ni BBM, Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos. Anong observation niya? Anong mga reaction niya po tungkol itong survey, negative survey ba? Negative result of BBM. Let's watch and listen to this po. Ang reaction niya po tungkol sa survey ni BBM. Will it affect or not ang trabaho ni BBM po? Nandito, let's watch and listen to this.
Oo, nakaka-apekto yan. Correct ko lang, no, yung negative 27 na umiikot, yung dalawang survey is on the approval and trust of the leader. Yung ginawa nilang negative 27, although may nakita akong iba talagang sinasabi na, inalis namin yung undecided. Kasi yung scale namin, at saan ay rate for the cabinet performance. So yung 51% said they disapprove of the cabinet performance is the sum total of the performance of his cabinet, not of the person. So, pero, I mean, may mga comparison na gano'n. Hindi ko naman matitigil yung interpretasyon na ganyan. Pero, again,
Negative minus.
Tama ka naman doon na kailangan magkaroon ng actual na programa para sumagot dyan sa how do you gain back the trust. Kasi pag nawala ang tiwala sa pamahalaan, sa leader, sa politiko, mahirap makuha ang approval. Mahirap makuha ang tiwala kung wala kang gagawing aksyon. So hindi ko maintindihan kasi siguro ang pinaka-action nila is the cabinet reshuffle na mangyayari sa darating na linggo. Ang pagkakaalam ko, 9 na cabinet members ang marireshuffle. So kung re-reshuffle mo yan, di ba galing ka na rin sa reshuffling? After the elections, yun yung pinalabas nila. So, hindi ko maintindihan yung isang cabinet secretary minimension doon, kababago lamang, hindi pa nga nasasubmit sa CA yung pangalan, pero parang nandun na. So, hindi ko rin alam kung reshuffling is the way to go, or really, work hard, show results, hindi lang optics, kasi nakita natin itong administrasyon na ito from day one, puros optics. Hindi natin nakikita yung pagbabago na nararamdaman ng taong bayan. Noong una kasi ang issue, hindi ka namin maramdaman, hindi ka namin nakikita, hindi ka namin, the lack of concern. Tapos nakita natin nag-iikot siya dahil dyan sa flood control project, supposedly yun ang concern na katulad nga ng ang packaging na ginagawa ng palasyo, siya lamang ang leader na pinaglaban at tumatayo sa korupsyon. Yun naman double-edged kasi pag tinanong mo bakit may corruption, saan nanggaling ang corruption, sino ang corrupt? Kaya, alam mo, matatalino na ang Pilipino. So, alam nila, kaya nga nagagalit dahil walang desisyon na lumalabas dun sa malalaking isda.
Alright, yun po ang observation, reaction ni Professor Malu Tequia, no? Tungkol sa trust rating ni BBM po. The only thing I agree also po, no? Si BBM, if he really wants to, mag-akyat na naman ang trust rating and performance rating na po, I think he has to do something concrete po, no? When we talk about itong corruption, then he has to show to the public that he's serious on this thing by making sure na itong mga big fishes po, no? Big fishes po, involved sa corruption will be put behind bars. For as long as he will not do that, and he will continue to, sabihin natin, protect these people, no? Then, mahirap na po. Mahirap na po. Mahirap na talaga po, no? Yon po ang issue natin sa survey ni BBM. And anyway, kayong bahala po. I'm just sharing with you po ang mga thoughts ni Professor Malu Tequia. But so far, if you ask me po, I totally agree with her. I totally agree with her. Okay, there was another question na raised kay Professor Malu Tequia tungkol itong arrest, no? 5 charges, sedition. Charges kay retired general si Romeo Poquis, no? So let's watch and listen. Ano ang reaction, ang statement ni Professor Malu po when it comes to this arrest, cases filed against General or retired General Poquis ba yan? Yeah, Poquis po. Let's watch and listen to this po. 3:14.
Ayun, biro mo naman, no? Nagsalita lamang siya. Ito'y isang retirado. Una, ang maling-maling sinabi nila, pwede daw kasuhan si General Poquis. Paano mo kakasuhan ang isang taong nagsasalita? Yung freedom of expression, di ba? Lahat naman tayo may karapatan na magsalita. Hindi naman niya sinabing kumuha ng baril at sugutin ang bulukan niya. Ang sinabi lang niya na mag-resign. Ang resigning pala is inciting to sedition. Yun ang hindi ko maintindihan. At ang pagkakagawa ay pero nung nanggaling ang buong pamilya niya sa isang bakasyon, abay, paglabas mo dun sa chute ng aeroplano, dun sa tube, na andun na ang mga pulis. At siya ay pinusasan. Diba? Sa harap ng pamilya, siya ay pinusasan. Pagkatapos, hindi inalaw ang kanyang mga abogadong lumapit sa kanya. Pangatlong problema, instead na dalhin mo sa korte, kasi sinasabi nila, nagsaserve daw sila ng warrant, kailangan ibalik yung warrant sa korte, hindi nila dinala doon, dinala sa krami. So, itong mga irregular things, at pag tinanong, sino nag-utos sa inyo, anong pangalan mo, yung mga nag-escort, walang silang sinasabi. So, kung ginawa nilang example, si Major General Poquis na retirido at respetado, imaginein mo sa ordinaryong tao, ikaw, ako, pwede nila yung gawin at nakakalungkot dahil napakahirap mong intindihin kung tayo sa martial law na walang formal na declaration o talagang ang mga kasangga ng administrasyon na tungkol sa seguridad ay talagang sige lang, gagawin namin yan para hindi sila maipit. Kaya nga sumasaludo ako kay General Bokes kasi alam mo, nag-render yan ng serbisyo sa bayan eh. Lahat ng sundalo, whether general ka o sarhento ka, nag-render ka ng serbisyo sa bayan. So, ibalik natin yung respeto doon, no? At ang supli nila sa pag-render ng serbisyo ay buhay nila. So, paano mo tratuhin ng isang retired general na ganyan? Ayan ay pambabastos na sa uniforme at sa serbisyo militar. So, at ginagawa nilang example si General Bokes. Hindi ko maintindihan kung yun ay planado at mukha namang planado. At kung naiintindihan nila ang epekto niyan sa kawal.
Alright, yan po ang issue tungkol kay General Romeo Bokes po. Sedition. Sedition po, inciting sedition po. To say that, Marcos resigned, do you consider it as citing sedition na po? I don't know. I don't know what is happening po. But anyway, yun po ang what is happening dyan po sa Pilipinas ngayon. And as what si Malu Tequia, Professor Malu Tequia saying po, matalino na ngayon ang mga Pilipino. Maybe noon you can fool us. But ngayon po, mahirapan na kayo po. Especially all this, what is happening dyan sa Pilipinas ngayon po, mas lalo na po itong corruption na cases po that we are confronting now po, no? And involved talaga po ang pangalan ng mga senador, congressmen, government top officials po at saka contractor. In fact, even ang pangalan ni President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos, si BBM, including ang First Lady natin sa Pilipinas, si First Lady Lisa Araneta Marcos, as well ang anak nila po, si Sandro, Congressman Sandro Marcos, nandyan din po ang mga pangalan nila po sa anomalya. That is really happening. Okay, another video clip that I want to share with you po, ang latest one po, tungkol itong isang PM mayor, PMA, Colonel, servicing for 34 years old, 34 years, nasa active duty pa siya ngayon po. And just recently, he came out and withdrew his support to the president po, si President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos. And after he made that statement, declaration that he's withdrawing his support to the president, he was relieved from the post. He was relieved from the post. Matapang siya po, I agree. Matapang siya po. But maraming yung mga question dyan. But anyway, let's watch and listen to the reaction of Professor Malu Tequia on this Colonel. Active duty pa ito eh. Nasa active duty. In other words, ano siya talaga? Ano talaga siya ngayon? Still active pagkasundalo po. Let's watch and listen to this.
At ngayon, sinugi na sa serbisyo.
Ay, nagulat nga ako dyan eh. Sabi ko, sino yan? Sino naman yung biglang umapir? Pero sinasaluduhan ko sa tapang. Pero mo active ka. Tapos yung nakita kong sinashare, abay, 34 years in service. So sabi ko, hindi ba dapat general na yan? Bakit kaya hindi naging general? At kung titingnan mo yung background ng taong yan, abay, ang daming pinagsilbihan. Scout Ranger, nag-special action lahan na nagtuturo sa mga kawal. Nagserbisyo rin sa Mindanao. Marami, ginugel ko nga eh. Sabi ko, sino ba itong taong ito? So, nagugulat ako na malapit na siguro yung mag-retire. Pero willing siya. At again, pagbabasahin mo
Alright, yun po ang reaksyon ni Professor Tequia. So, sa palagaling na po. Now we saw a portion of the interview of Professor Malu Tequia, carried out by SMNI, dyan po sa Pilipinas. Anong opinion ninyo po? Anong mga observation or may mga reaction ninyo po? If you're going to ask me po, majority of the answers of Professor Tequia po, I totally agree. I totally agree po. No? Kaya nga, ingat tayo po. Ingat tayo. Now we see what is happening po. Ano ba ito? Martial law na ba tayo? Martial law in different way? Martial law style ng gobyerno or what? No? Let's see what's next po. And we are expecting, may mga rumors that on Monday or next week, no? There will be a cabinet revamp. Cabinet revamp. Let's see po. I will continue to monitor ang sitwasyon dyan po sa Pilipinas. Kung sakali mayroon man a cabinet revamp, kung sino-sino will be affected. And I was made to understand that si Secretary ng Department of Public Works and Highways, Dizon, most likely he will be returning back to the Transportation Department po or Transport Secretary po, no? Which he was earlier appointed by President Ferdinand Marcos as Transport Secretary. And then he was transferred to itong problema na flood control project, he was transferred to the Department of Public Works and Highways as the secretary po. No? Anyway, I will continue to monitor it and I'll make sure that whatever mayroon tayong mga latest balita tungkol sa Pilipinas, I will make sure that ang mga followers natin dito po sa TikTok, The Real Talk with Nico po, you will be properly informed. Although I might not be able to give you or to be do the breaking news po, but definitely you will get the news po, fresh na fresh pa rin po. So, with this, siguro hanggang dito na lang ang programa natin. And once again, I would like to say, maraming salamat sa inyong lahat po for making me a part of your day-to-day. I hope you will enjoy your Sunday holiday po and prepare for tomorrow, a start of a brand new working week for everybody. Ingat tayo po and let's continue to pray to God that things will change in the Philippines. Things will change sa buhay ng mga Filipinos po. And things will change ang buhay ng mga Filipinos dito sa Malaysia po, mga overseas Filipino workers din po, at saka ang mga kaibigan natin dito sa Malaysia, mga Malaysiano po. So with this, Sinico would like to say, Malaysia, Sabah, the Philippines, God bless us all. I see you in my next episode. Bye, and I love you all.